Welcome to the second segment of the VCFL's Introduction to Six-A-Side Football featuring Brian Guebert of Saskatoon Minor Football. In this second session, Brian will introduce the modified rules to six-a-side football. He'll talk about some player development strategies and, of course, key benefits to the six-a-side game. The VCFL will only be doing six-a-side football at the Adam Division in fall of 2022. So we will be talking about smaller fields down the line, but the basic rules and gist of six-a-side football that he's discussing will still count. If you're a coach who is a student of the game, you're an X's and O's type of coach, you are going to really love this segment. If you're not, and you're maybe a volunteer or a club level board member, feel free to skip between the 13th minute and the 30th minute. But if you are a student of the game, you will love this segment. Let's dive into it and enjoy.
The rules of six-a-side football. So these are taken straight out of the Canadian Amateur Rules football book. So it's any place in the rule book where it says 12 players substitute with 6. So read the rule book. It's the same rule book. Any place in the rule book where reference is made to 20 yards, substitute with 10 yards. And this may be a better question for you. I'm trying to think of all the instances where this happens.
What, 20-yard line?
No, where in the rule book would it reference 20 yards substitute with 10 yards?
Well, if you, on a punt or a missed field goal, if you run it out of your end zone and tackle short of the 20-yard line to get the ball on the 20-yard line.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that reason,
So you get it at the 10. That's good. I was trying to think.
An interception in the end zone.
Okay.
Ball to top 20.
Okay. No, that's good because I was kind of like.
Recovery in your end zone.
Yeah, so a lot of end zone play stuff there. I was just trying to refresh my brain. I'm like, hey, what is that referencing? But yeah, you are correct on those. For placement of the ball, on all occasions, subtract 5 from the indicated number. So that more has to do with the 100-yard field instead of the 110-yard field. So we kick off from the 45-yard line in amateur rules football, right? I should know the special teams coach. So we kick off from the 40 in six-a-side football because there is no 55-yard line. And when you give up a rouge, where you get the ball on the 35-yard line, you would get it on the 30-yard line, so on and so forth. And then the playing field, we've kind of talked about the playing field here. Again, these are the legitimate rules. Length of the game, 40 minutes of playing time divided into 4 periods of 10 minutes each. The timing stays the same. 3-minute stop provision, the second and fourth quarter. Oh, sorry, it's 2 minutes, not 3.
Question, not necessarily for you, but for VCFL, are we going to be playing by that field size? Have we discussed that?
Yeah, we haven't yet because this is specifically just for Adam football. So the likelihood that we'll be going with the smaller shootout style fields is higher than playing a full size game. But if six-a-side does develop into the older levels, we will definitely use a full size field. Okay.
Yeah, like I would suggest for Adam, 20 or 25 yards, and adapt from there. Adapt for success, right? So I would not recommend this for the Adam level. So 3 players must be on the offensive team must be stationary on the line of scrimmage. Okay, you can have 4, you can have 5. All right, by rule, on the line of scrimmage if you wanted. That would make the interior 3 ineligible if that was the case, but same rules as 12-a-side football. You could put 11 players on the line of scrimmage in 12-a-side football. You just make 9 of them ineligible. The center is eligible to receive a pass if they line up at the end of the line of scrimmage, and is the eligible number thing. I've never seen it actually used ever in Saskatchewan. The referees know there's only one ineligible player and it's that person. So I've never seen eligible numbers used in six-a-side football. Would that bring any concern to you? Like there's only one player you're concerned about, so I don't think. So you never report in six-a-side football. It's always just if you're in the middle of the line, you cannot go downfield to catch a pass.
through too, so your center guy isn't always going to be the same guy.
Correct. So, and the convert after a touchdown is worth 2 points if kicked, and then a convert that involves running or passing the ball is worth 1 point. Those are the rule differences. That is literally right out of the playbook or out of the rule book. Any questions about the rules? Now we can get into modifications. Like I said, we use a 25-yard wide field for our purposes. We play shootout style, so overtime rules. You start on the, I think we do the 30 in our league, and have a 10-yard end zone. As a developmental adaptation to the game, we let players go 6 plays in a row to start the season. So it's just, you can have 6 fumbled snaps on your first possession of the game. If you want to, you could score 6 touchdowns. You could have 6 pick sixes. Any combination of those, we just let them go 6 in a row. So they develop a rhythm on offense of getting in and out of the huddle to do that. So again, that's a league adaptation that we make. Other adaptations to the rules, we certainly have a conversation with our refs about, assessing penalties. They're welcome to assess the penalties, but again, it's more about educating the players on what penalties are, like what they should and shouldn't be doing on the football field, than necessarily penalizing them with yardage, given the situation. But again, that has more to do, the philosophy of our league, we do not keep score. So we do not publish the scores, we do not publish standings, we do not have a championship at the end of the year. We have a jamboree at the end of the year where like-ability teams play each other and whatnot. So that's it. But other than that, these are the rules. So it's not like it's a far cry from the rules that we follow in regular amateur football. But yeah, that's it. Any questions about the rules?
Into the center eligibility and other things later?
Yeah, in our systems we will, for sure. For sure. The center can be eligible in 12-a-side football. Can. Okay, so hopefully these links work. So this is our curriculum. I'm going to kind of fly through this because I've covered a lot of it. And I will just draw your attention. So our website is SaskatchewanMinorFootball.com. If you click on 6-a-side resources, our curriculum's there, our insertion schedule's there, our playbooks are there. You can steal away, take it all. You can feel free to check that out. So this is, again, part of our education with our coaches and our parents at the start of every year. This is kind of an argument for what we do. The aim of our curriculum is participation in the game and development of football skills amongst youth in a success-based environment. So that's the driving factor of what we're doing. It's not to crown a champion at the end of the year. It's not to make an all-star team. It's not that. It is that right there. That is the aim of our league. I've gone on depth at this, but again, it's there for our parents and coaches to take into effect. And these are the goals of our 6-a-side curriculum, okay? So youth participation in a variety of positions, whole player development, learning to a variety of skills, a variety of positions, teach necessary movement and football skills to offer participants solid foundation which build upon their skills. Basic skill concepts are taught that are easily transferable to other positions. Staying low, staying square, moving your feet, keeping an athletic base. Coach and official development through increased opportunities to participate. So again, everything what we do is focused on the kids, but we cannot lose track of the development of the coaches and officials as well. And then teaching football literacy so that participants understand the language of football to better understand the game and the expectations of each position. And again, that's a huge part. That's why, again, we try and get those higher level, like high school coaches, assistant coaches and stuff like that to coach our 6-a-side, because now they're teaching the same literacy, the same language, so that, one of the concerns that was brought up is, well, how are they going to transition to high school level football? We spend so much time in high school teaching systems because that's what we do. And if we could spend less time focusing on fundamentals because a great base of fundamental skill was developed, wouldn't you be happier about that? Being like, you're gonna teach your base offense and defensive system and build on it every year as a high school football coach. So who cares if they never played with 12 players on the field before? If they know how to get in and out of a stance, if they know how to tackle an open field, if they know how to catch a ball, if they know how to run routes, they know how to cover man-to-man, they know how to do all that sort of stuff, teaching systems is easy. It's that fundamental skill development that I would argue has a greater value to it. We've just covered all of this. Here's a sample depth chart, if you will. Quarterback, tailback, fullback, end, center, receiver. So basically, you could consider yourself having a center and 2 tight ends is a basic formation that we would understand. And what we do with the 3 other players is totally up to you. Defense, we play a 2-3, so we have a rush end, a tackle, Sam, Mac. You guys call him Mike, right? Mac is a Saskatchewan thing. We call this guy Mac. I don't know why. Sam, Mike, Will, and safety. So that's a basic defense and how it would look. And then why play 6-a-side football? Unique opportunity to use sports to learn the basics of each position. Focus on development of the athlete. Scores not officially kept. Encourage athletes to develop their abilities. And a smaller playing field introduces players to safe, open field tackling. Smaller team sizes simplifies the strategy of the game. So a little bit of the arguments there. So that's our curriculum, quote unquote, that we try and embed in every coach. All right, so we make sure that we teach that to them, that they read it over, and we remind them of it throughout the season. This is how we broke down the field before when we played north and south, if you will, on a football field. Sorry, we put the sidelines on the inside of the numbers. I think that was 38 yards. I think 17 yards between the hashes, and then another 11 yards to the middle of the number, I think. 10 yards to the top of the numbers. But yeah, it ended up being pretty good there. And then we would go into the end zone. We'd put a line at the back of the end zone for a 10-yard end zone. It's 40 by 100 by 10 is the traditional length. When we started, we went 38 yards wide because that was the inside of the numbers. It was just an easy landmark to follow to keep the line straight. We've now narrowed it to 25 yards. So yeah, narrowed it even further. Here's a good example. I mean, the back of this human being really means nothing. This is Patrick Neufeld. He's a 2-time Grey Cup champion with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He's been in the CFL for 12 years now. When he was in university, he was coaching 6-a-side football. So he just signed another big contract with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to stick around a bit more, but he was coaching our league. Get back to this stuff.
Can you email that to us?
Yep. Actually, this is right on our website as well, but yeah, I can. Practice point. Okay. Implementation schedule. So our Hilltops division is our youngest division because we go by grades, so instead of calling it U10 and all that sort of stuff. In week 1 and 2 of the season, you get to run one formation, high formation. You get to run leads up the middle, leads off the edge, a split dive with a fullback, tailback dive option. So that goes to the fullback, that goes to the tailback, and you get to run one play action pass. That's the playbook. Everybody gets to learn all of those plays. And so you move players around, you teach them different things, you spend a lot of your team time not installing more and more and more plays. You spend it teaching the same play with different players in different positions. So again, it's changing the way we traditionally teach football, but that's what they get for a whole 2 weeks and then a training camp before that. So 3 weeks, that's your insertion. One formation, get to know this formation. And the great way of having an insertion schedule like this is you don't have to worry about scouting your opponents. They get to run the same plays. So what you're practicing against is what you're going to be playing against in the game, right? Now, different personnel and different ways of maybe how players block and things like that, but it's going to be familiar to you. So your ability to execute your skills becomes paramount, right? Because it's not like I'm going to be tricked into thinking that something strange is happening in front of me. I'm doing this. Weeks 3 and 4, this again, our youngest division. I formation, then we add ace, slot left, slot right. So basically this is just a wing back, if you will, somebody just off the edge of the line. And we add a counter out of our I formation, we add a toss. So we've had 2 more run plays. And then there's the option, not all coaches don't have to add all of these plays. This is just available to them. So when I was coaching six-a-side football, I stuck with I formation, and then I got into some of the passing stuff and toss out of this, but I didn't want, this is some zone concepts in there, but again, if you got the players for it, then you can do that, depending on what your affinity is. So now we have 4 weeks plus 1 week of training camp, so 5 weeks of football. We have 2 formations and a fairly good slate of plays there. We got one passing play, or play action, and these are just straight passing plays right there. So build on it again. Another 3 weeks after this, you have, or sorry, that should be 4 to 5. The next 2 weeks, still the same, add a new formation. Now we have wide right, wide left, so we have a receiver out wide. Now we add more to our passing game. But again, we can run some ace formation, run stuff out of there as well. And build on it. And then week 7 and 8, get creative. You can run your triple reverses, you can do your quarterback sweeps, you can do all sorts of, we do have a quarterback sweep in here. You can do all sorts of stuff to get creative in here. So by week 7 and 8, go nuts. Now, sometimes we don't get to week 7 and 8, just the way the calendar works out, but it is. Defensive rules. Cover formation, the safety covers the first eligible player out of backfield. The Sam linebacker covers the second eligible player out of backfield. There's no blitzing, 2-man rush, center cannot be covered by a lineman, may not align with 2 D linemen in consecutive gaps, okay? So we always leave a gap open for a linebacker to fill the hole in a gap cancellation defense, all right? So we gotten a few coaches started screaming at each other one time, what's going on here? And there was 2 defensive tackles lined up on either side of the center, and I was like, okay, no, we're not doing that, move over. But that's the insertion schedule. And then our older age division, it's the exact same thing, it's just now it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then we get more time to be creative at the end of the year. So that's the insertion schedule that we work with. Now I'll show you the actual playbooks themselves. So we use, and again, get creative with it. This is more just how I learned six-a-side, so I stuck with it because we're so traditionally based as coaches. We numbered all of our backs, so the quarterback was 1, fullback was 2, tailback was 3, and then we had odds to the left, evens to the right for holes. So first number was who was getting the ball, second number was what hole they're going to, and then we introduced a bit of a passing tree and that sort of thing. So this kind of explains what's going on. So 30 series designates that the tailback is receiving the ball. On 30 series, the quarterback reverse pivots out of it. So again, quarterback is always reverse pivoting if you're running to the 2, 4, 6 hole. And opens away from tailback's initial direction. Lead, the fullback is a lead blocker. Counter tells the tailback there's a change of direction and a pull blocker from the line. Toss, tailback receives a pitch from the quarterback. Pro is a prefix to designate that it is a fake handoff and a play action pass. 40 designates that the tailback's receiving the ball. So this is where things changed slightly. So we had the 1, 2, 3 numbered the backs, but then our 40 series just became, this is how we're running our zone concept. This is our kind of man blocking scheme concept. This is our zone blocking scheme concept. Tailback still receiving the ball. Quarterback opens and pivots to the play. So if we were running 44 zone, step, and lead right to it, and then boot off of that. Again, lead, fullback's the lead blocker, Bob, fullback or slot back, blocks on the backside, so block on backside, pro, prefix to designate play action. 10 series, quarterback's the ball carrier, 20 series, fullback's running the ball. So that's the way we did it, to keep it simple. By no means is this the way you have to do it. I've changed, I kind of like named concepts now rather than this stuff, but. We have 50, I don't know why that edited wrong. We have 50 protection and 60 protection. This is just kind of keeping in line with a lot of 12-man language. So 50 protection, you have 5 blockers, and 60 protection, you have 6 blockers. Well, 50 protection, we have 3 blockers, and 60 protection, we have 4 blockers. So we're adding one more blocker to the protection. So again, when we're talking about making that transition from 6-a-side to high school football or a 12-a-side game, that's where we can use this language interchangeably. Like you could run a 34 lead in 12-man football, and it could be the exact same hole with the exact same ball carrier and the exact same reverse pivot and all that sort of stuff. It's all the same, right? So that's why we're trying to have some continuity there. So that's how we kind of lay out the playbook for our coaches. And if they want to change the names of things and whatever, I'm fine with that. That's fine. These are all the different formations that theoretically you could run in 6-a-side. So we open that playbook up at the end of the season. So now we only taught I formation. We taught slot right ace, so ace, slot right. And we've taught wide right 8. Oh, let's just say ace. So these 3 are the only formations that we have in the insertion schedule. But go nuts. These are all formations you can run in 6-a-side football. Again, this is my terminology, how I like to do it. So I call a near receiver a slot and a wide receiver a wide. When there's 2 people on the same size, I call it twin. When there's 2 people on opposite sides, I called it double. So again, it was just, it's like learning a new language, right? That's what we have to be conscious of when we're coaching football, is you get some kids just looking at you and you're like, oh yeah, line of scrimmage. You have no idea what that means. I need to explain and teach you what this means. And same thing with this, right? It's like teaching a foreign language to somebody sometimes. So yeah, double suggests that they're on opposite sides. Twins suggest they're on the same side if there's 2 of them. Spread formation, this is where you get into flag football type of concepts here, except your quarterback can run. And yeah, you have 4 eligible receivers, not 5, but, 4 eligible receivers still, because 5-on-5 flag football. A lot of teams have a lot of fun with that. So defense sucks against that. And then what we did was we drew each play. So we have a digital version of this uploaded into our app. So coaches can literally hold up an iPad and practice, and if they want to reverse the play, they can just hit reverse and it shows it run on the opposite side. So this is 34 lead. Sorry, it would actually just reverse it to the other hash mark if you needed to. This is 34 lead run from both hashes. So this is running 34 lead weak. This is running 34 lead strong. And because we run a common playbook, we know that this is the defense that we're getting, so we only draw it up against this type of defense. So, yeah. So that's our basic playbook as it goes here. I don't know why this formatting got a little messed up here, but that's 33 lead, 31 lead, 21 split dive, so fullback's getting the ball. 34 split dive, tailback's getting the ball. Play action in the flats. Fullback's in the flat. We have to figure out how this is formatted. This is not what I'm used to seeing, but there's a back flat to the strong side of the field. Our counter, this is a great play actually. So I like that one better actually. I like running the counter to the weak side of the field. So get your lead direction going this way. Fullback leads out early. Our end kicks around here, and then you have your counter direction here. You can boot out this side, and this becomes a great play where this end ends up releasing over the top here because your quarterback will boot out, and then you have that receiver coming over the top. And again, are these concepts that we can see in 12-a-side football? Yeah. It just happens to happen a little bit faster in this because you have less protection. You have less blockers and whatnot, but it's pretty neat. So, usually you'd have a slot back running a drag or a dig across the middle of the formation here, and you're hitting that in 12-a-side football. Well, now you just release the end out in that same in concept, and same thing happens. So, any questions about this? I mean, I don't need to go over every play. This is available to you. You can have it. I'm clearly going to reformat this because it's bothering me. Why? This was a summer student job last year, so I probably should have done a better job. Like, clearly, he just put these two on top of each other and forgot to, I don't know. But and some pages are blank. This is that zone concept I spoke about. So slot left, so we move our fullback into the slot formation. 43 zone lead, so again, concept here, you reach, you get overcut, then the running back can cut back against the grain. Again, do we run zone in 12-a-side football? You're darn right we do. Well, here it is here. Again, can you smash this route out and have that guy hit it on it? For sure. Can you bring the fullback back across, release him into the flats? Yeah. Do we see that in 12-a-side football? Absolutely we do. So again, that transition from 6-a-side to 12-a-side is here. It can be here in the playbook. Again, it's just fewer moving pieces. Yeah, here's the Bob concept, teaching that cutback. So you bring that fullback, wham block or whatever you call, back across the formation, looking for somebody to kick out here. Running back can look to cut it back, or again, we get the edge if Sam creeps in with the fullback because they should be in man-to-man coverage here. Then come back across. Safety probably should adjust that slot back because the safety should take the first person out. So the cutback should be there, but you might outnumber them on the strong side in that concept. Again, get creative with your zone stuff. Run your fake zone. You got the, this should be Pro 43 Bob, or sorry, Pro 43 shovel drag. So again, quarterback takes the ball, hits it, naked boot, and then he's got the fullback that he can shovel to, or the end coming across that he can throw the ball over top. So lots of neat concepts here. Can you do this out of shotgun? Absolutely you can. I like teaching under center because I think it's a skill we've gotten away from, but at the same time, we're doing such a good job developing flag football now, we have a lot of good shotgun snappers, hopefully. So it's one of those things, but should you be in shotgun snap on the goal line? I'm still a traditionalist, I say no. But what else? I am gonna clean this playbook up, this is bothering me. Shovel drag. Your toss, you can pull. So again, sometimes we pull a tackle on a toss in 12-a-side football, right? Do the same thing here. Boom, you pull the end around, you're out for the races. You can still fake the toss and throw backside seam if you wanted to, right? So that's, again, great amateur minor football play, right? The old fake toss, collect yourself and safety, and everybody's biting over on the fake toss, hit that backside seam. Well, you can do that here with your tight end. Pro 33 back flat end fly or end post. You got that. Hit this concept here. These guys, just like in 12-a-side football, do tight ends get lost in the mix sometimes? Yeah, they do. Can they sneak down the middle of the field pretty easily? Yep, you betcha. And then you can Pro 61 and then call your route. We use a route tree, but again, you can use whatever you want. You can get into these multiple directional concepts. So you can 31 dive, fake reverse. So now you have your wide outs here. So this would be wide left, ace, 31 dive, fake reverse. So again, 31, so I'm reverse pivoting, dive, reverse, and then can I gather and throw off that? Absolutely, I can as well. So there's lots going on with these types of concepts. These multi-directional concepts are actually a lot of fun. They buy time. It's good to develop play action game. It gets the defense kind of chasing people in man, which is probably a good thing to do. And you can have fun with a lot of these things. Any concept or any questions about this basic playbook? So
I have a question, but it's not basically on the playbook, it's on regarding blocking.
yeah.
Do you allow blocking below the waist, and in what area of the field would you allow it?
Yes, we follow the amateur rules football playbook. So
I mean, I know we have this clothesline play
Yeah.
area, right?
yeah,
But just now it's tight end.
tight end,
Tight
tight
end.
end. Yeah, back to the quarterback.
backs behind the quarterback
Yeah.
now, and a shotgun formation.
Yeah,
So you still have that concept, that you would just go from your tight end to tight end still?
yep, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So and I can block in the black in that area too if the person's on the line of scrimmage.
Yep, yeah, those do not
And
change.
that's really good, because now we don't have to relearn something.
Yeah.
That's an official.
Again, is there an option for house league rules about we don't allow cut blocking in minor football? Absolutely there is. We certainly don't encourage its use. Like, we don't have a lot of quick, like, there's advantages to cut blocking, a quick passing game, stuff like that, trying to get the ball out quickly. Most of our plays wouldn't have that. So we don't necessarily encourage our coaches to teach it as part of the systems, but certainly is it allowed? Yeah, for sure it is. Trying to think other fun plays we got here. You can do some rollouts. So 68, 69 protection would be a rollout concept. So we have 4 people blocking, roll the quarterback out. Certainly there's always the opportunity to run. That's one of the points of contention in our developmental league. Oh, they're just running with the quarterback all the time. And part of it's like, okay, if the quarterback's not looking downfield, is he developing skill? No. So you go talk to the offensive coach and say, hey, tell him to throw the ball. Like, let things develop. Like, don't just be like, and I'm running. At the same time, you maybe go talk to the defensive coach and say, hey, your guy was blanket covering him. He had no option. He had to run. So, it's one of those things. You just got to understand what's going on here. You can run hitch screen concepts because we can motion out early and do things like that. So you can have a lot of fun with some power sweep stuff here. You can do power sweep end around stuff, so you can be that quarterback. You got twin slots to the left. You take the ball, you fake this, and you boot around the edge and run it. Then you can have a lot of fun running stuff like that. You can have this end fall over and look lost around, like he's looking around the field, and then roll out, throw it back to him, and run a screen. So that's what we call a basic playbook. So this is basically, here's everything you could insert during the course of our minor football 6-a-side season. So sometimes you get 2 weeks to teach these plays. Sometimes you get to add on it 1 week, depending on the age of the division that you're coaching. But this is a playbook that you get to start with. And then at the end of the season, so the last 4 weeks in our older division, our last 2 weeks in our younger division, open it up even further. If you want to do some offset line stuff and that sort of stuff, go nuts. Our players should be able to adapt to it by then.
Well, that wraps up our second segment in this 3-part series on 6-a-side football. Some key takeaways from this segment: Brian discussed how 6-a-side teaches and reinforces the fundamentals at every position. Remember, half the players, twice the athletes. He also showed how 6-a-side players can easily transition to 9- and 12-a-side football as they grow and develop. Once again, I'd like to thank the BCCFA for sponsoring this presentation. And up next, in our third and final segment, we will see some video of 6-a-side games played in Saskatchewan. We will discuss long-term athletic development, which is very important in every youth sport, and as well as some coaching tips and best practices. Join me for part 3 and the conclusion of our presentation.